Maybe you haven't checked your phone today to see that Dick Cheney and his horrible daughter have endorsed Kamala Harris. Dick Cheney. Now, why is that? What does Dick Cheney have in common with Kamala Harris? And it's really interesting, actually, because they're constantly telling us that the divides are along race and gender.
I'm Vince for RTM News. If you enjoy the content, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you are new. So Democrats have spent the entire past week running around celebrating the endorsement of none other than Dick Cheney, which I think is a pretty telling example of the current realignment in our politics.
In our nation's 246-year history, there has never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump. He tried to steal the last election using lies and violence to keep himself in power after the voters had rejected him. He is a coward. A real man wouldn't lie to his supporters. He lost his election, and he lost big. I know it, he knows it, and deep down, I think most Republicans know it. Lynn and I are so proud of Liz for standing up for the truth.
I mean, just look at Dick Cheney's eyes. Those are the eyes of an insane man. He is sick in the head, truly. But that's the thing, is I thought this long before anything about Donald Trump or whether or not he supports Trump. And you know who used to believe that as well? The left. The current leftist Democrats, liberals, whatever, who are running around celebrating, saying Dick Cheney is a patriot not 2 seconds ago, and for most of the past 2 decades were rightly, I would say, referring to Dick Cheney as a war criminal, because we all know he's one of the chief architects, alongside Bolton, George Bush, etc., of the war in Iraq.
Simply stated, there is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction. There is no doubt that he is amassing them to use them against our friends, against our allies, and against us. And there is no doubt that his aggressive regional ambitions will lead him into future confrontations with his neighbors, confrontations that will involve both the weapons that he has today and the ones he will continue to develop with his oil wealth.
So 2 seconds ago, according to Democrats, the guy was a war criminal, but now that he has endorsed Kamala Harris, which I think is honestly pretty damning for Kamala and what she really stands for, suddenly you see this comment all the time on social media: Dick Cheney is a patriot. He put country above party. Yeah, by the way, if you're wondering, oh, maybe he changed, maybe he's a different man now, just so you're aware, to this day, Dick Cheney still stands by his decision to invade Iraq.
It's the Middle East, and stuff happens in the Middle East. You know it. You've covered it for years. But you cannot, I don't think you can make a case that the world would be better off today if Saddam Hussein were still in power.
So no regrets about Iraq?
I think we made exactly the right decisions.
So apparently, Kamala Harris supporters, this is your guy. This is your guy, a man who spent millions of dollars, thousands of Americans killed, way more, hundreds of thousands, I believe, Iraqis killed, for nothing, for something that was a blatant lie. And by the way, the Democrats for a long time rightly criticized him for that decision. You're now accepting his endorsement. And don't you dare try to tell me that, oh, just because Dick Cheney endorsed Kamala Harris doesn't mean that Kamala Harris is going to be the same type of neocon that he is. Because, ladies and gentlemen, watch as Kamala Harris doesn't just ignore it, but actively accepted Dick Cheney's endorsement. Not making this up.
Actually, I'm honored to have their endorsement, and I think that what they both, as leaders who are well respected, are making an important statement that it's okay, and if not important, to put country above party. And I'm honored to have their support, and I think it's an important statement right now. A lot of what I think is happening, and I was just talking with some folks here in Pittsburgh about it, is that people are exhausted.
Dick and Liz Cheney, according to her, are well respected, and she is honored to have their support. What exactly is going on there? Because this breaks the paradigm of our politics, perhaps in the same sense that maybe people are confused. Why is RFK Jr. working with the Republicans now? Well, Tucker Carlson, Ron Paul, and others seem to have the answer. Here's the real reason all of this is happening.
Maybe you haven't checked your phone today to see that Dick Cheney and his horrible daughter have endorsed Kamala Harris. Dick Cheney. Now, why is that? What does Dick Cheney have in common with Kamala Harris? And it's really interesting, actually, because they're constantly telling us that the divides are along race and gender. And they were always telling us Dick Cheney is this rich white guy, and Kamala Harris is this oppressed woman of color. They've got nothing in common. But actually, they have everything in common. Because they're both neocons. That's exactly right. They have everything in common. And it tells you what a lie this race and gender stuff is. That's not the divide. The divide is in your heart. And if you think it's okay to kill people in order to get rich, you're on their side. And if you don't, you're on our side, no matter what you look like.
Oh, so clearly that's what it's really about. Obviously, Dick Cheney and Kamala may have some disagreements over tax policy or social issues, perhaps, although they probably still agree on stuff like immigration. You know, both the neocons and the neoliberals love the open border stuff. But most importantly, their fundamental agreement is that they like these endless wars, and it's true. Kamala Harris is admitting openly, she's talked about it in the DNC speech as well, she is a neocon. The Democrats are now the neocon party, and boy, how much things have changed in the past 20 years.
Dick Cheney supports Harris? I thought Dick Cheney was a Republican, conservative, constitutionalist. He wasn't, you know, his votes weren't the worst in the world when I knew him in Congress. But that was just a facade. That's to get his foothold in there. And he had a miraculous career moving up to become president. You say, president? Was he president? Yeah, he was president. I bet he was the most powerful vice president we ever had. You know, because he was the one that ran the show.
Put up that first clip. Now, this is from Politico, and it says, this is the story. Dick Cheney supports Harris, says Trump, quote, can never be trusted with power again. And that just, I think that says everything you need to know about the neocons. They're never wrong. They never apologize. This is a man who lied us into war. And everyone knows that he lied us into war. A war in which 1 million Iraqis were killed and thousands of American troops were killed. And he has the gall to say that Trump, for all his faults, should never be trusted with power again. I would say someone like Dick Cheney and the neocons should never be trusted with power again.
It's such a strong point, too. The fact that anyone from the Bush administration, especially Dick Cheney, is going to talk about how other people can't be trusted with power again, really? And I'd argue the same, honestly, for the Biden administration. You know, Kamala Harris, considering she worked under the train wreck that was the past 4 years, perhaps many people can make a case she's not the one who should be trusted with power ever again. But here, ultimately, I guess, is the divide in our current politics. It's no longer about Democrat versus Republican, because there's a lot of old school Democrats like RFK Jr. that are now supporting Donald Trump, and there's a lot of old school Republicans like Dick Cheney who are now supporting Kamala Harris and the Democrats. I think it's ultimately, are you America first, or are you one of the neocons? And in a very weird, like roundabout kind of way, the Democrats are now the neocon party. That is exactly what they are. Look who is on their side, right? Adam Kinzinger, John Bolton is not supporting Donald Trump, Dick Cheney, characters like this. And by the way, when you look at, for instance, Joe Biden's approach to Ukraine, very similar situation. And then when you are part of the anti-war crowd or the America First crowd, I guess now you're more with Trump, right? And that's the alignment of Donald Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., Elon Musk, people like this. So that said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Do you agree that the current paradigm of our politics is being broken? And of course, what do you think of Democrats rushing to embrace someone they just called a war criminal so quickly? But yeah, until next time, I've been Vince with RTM News. Peace.